One. Yeah, we are live. Welcome, guys. We're so sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, just like the Aston Martin team yesterday. So we're so sorry. So I know that was a very sly joke. So we have with us Arsh today, and we have Kyle. So we have Kyle who's joining us from Dubai, and he's a F4 driver. He's recently raced for the Mumbai Falcons in the F4 Regional Asia
Mhm.
Championships. So hey man, hi Kyle.
How are you doing? How's everybody doing?
Doing good, doing good. So
Thanks for having. Thanks for coming on the stream.
Thanks for having
yeah,
me, of course. Pleasure to be
yeah. I
here.
mean, it must have felt like an eternity waiting. Like it
No,
took us some
don't
time.
worry
So
about it. My racing season is over anyway, so a relaxed evening.
so I would just get on with it. I would start with Kyle. How would you rate the last race? Like, if you want to rate it out of 10, like how would it be? Like, was it too
Well,
boring,
let's say
exciting?
everybody that I wanted to do well didn't do well. So probably a 6 to 7 out of 10.
Okay, six is a fair number. Six is a fair number. Like,
Yeah,
so who are you
it's there
expected
or
to do well?
thereabouts.
You expect so? Are you a Verstappen fan? That I'm sensing here.
I wouldn't say I'm a Verstappen fan, but I would favor him to win a championship over whoever else you would consider a protagonist, whether it be Leclerc or Hamilton. I'm a Vettel fan as well. I'm a Alonso fan, so clearly it didn't go well for any of the any of the
Yeah.
three. So
I think everyone's a
Um.
Vettel fan. If you put it nicely, everyone is a
Yeah.
Vettel fan. Just I
Yeah.
think his nature is
yeah,
beautiful.
it took a few years for that.
Yeah, man. Like
Yeah, fair enough.
from being booed on the stage on the podium
Mm.
to being
One of the most
the
loved
guy has a
characters on the
different
grid.
fan following. Yeah, yeah. Like we wanted Vettel to have like a victory lap. Even after the race, people were like, if we could have the scooter thing again. But I would say it the race had everything, but it just wasn't there. Like it had everything. It had all the drama and it had everything. But yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah, 6.6.
Leclerc
Yeah,
was
yeah, I
just on
would.
another level.
Yeah. So I mean, if like we got to see we got to see some good fight. We got to see something really brilliant. I would start with Williams. We got to see something really brilliant from Latifi and
Alex.
Stroll. Stroll
Oh,
Uh,
that way.
in the qualifiers, and but we got to see something really brilliant from Alex, because even because the radio message that they were still not able to they're still not able to get in terms of the fact that he was P10, and this is something that this is a rabbit that he totally pulled out of his bag, because the tire strategies and because you have to pit, if I'm not wrong, Kyle, you have to pit if it's not a wet race, right? You have to pit
It's
once,
not that you
it's
have to
mandatory.
box. You have to have two different tire compounds throughout a race. So whether that be soft and medium, medium and hard, hard and soft, it's got to be two tire compounds before you cross the start finish line. Obviously, that requires you to pit, but it's more the compounds that are mandatory rather than the pit stop.
So, looking at the strategy that Albon had yesterday, do you think it was
Mhm.
more of a driver's call to go in late, to go
I
in with
highly
the
doubt either the team nor the driver had a call. I think they just went along with it, and the further it went, the better it got. So he did a great job. There's no two ways about it. I love the guy. I've met him once. He's a very nice guy, very humble guy as well, for what he's been through. And I think he's showing himself now more than he has before. So hopefully it continues like this for him. He needs a bit of good luck in the Williams car, because obviously it's not one of the cars up the top of the grid this year. But he did an excellent job. 57
yeah.
laps is unbelievable, unbelievable.
What do you think, Arsh? Albon requires a lot of luck from what has
I
happened in the
no,
past.
I don't. I don't think so. He requires a lot of luck. I mean, I think luck plays a massive factor in F1. It's not only, it's obviously talent, money, and all of that, but luck does play a huge factor. I mean, we could see that when George Russell got the podium itself. He said that
Hmm.
post race that this was a bit fortunate, but this is a part of the game. Luck is a part of the game. So I think Alex Albon has got some immense talent. He's shown that by pulling that Williams from P20 to P10, which was I think was fantastic. He was running P7 for 57 laps, but obviously as the rules
Hmm.
state, he had to box, and then he lost that P7 down to P10. On the other hand, I'm just happy Latifi finished the race in
Yeah.
one piece. I think at the end, that was pretty cool to see after 2 races to see him not crash out. I mean, we did not get a crash. We did get a crash in quali, but I don't think so. That was entirely his fault. He did get strolled at the end,
Mm.
so it was good to see. It was good to see Williams trying to get back on the bandwagon. But again, today we see the F1 constructors championship, and Aston Martin is the only one without a point today. So I think they've got something. They need some more luck than any of the other teams right now. They've had a
Hmm.
dreadful weekend throughout. I mean, even Vettel and Stroll, they both, you could just see that they were struggling with the back end of the car, and they were just not being able to put the pace in that Aston Martin truly has.
I think Aston Martin has a rocket. It's not a car. 'Cause I don't know, pointing the front end of the car. It's like this, dude. It's so funny. Even when they
It
had the
is.
car reveal, I don't know what. I know it's like driving a tractor like this. So Aston Martin
I
is on. I don't know
remember.
what strategy.
I remember
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
the post reveal when they, when they did the filming day at Silverstone. I guess even Kyle, you might have seen that, where they reveal
Yes.
all the cars at Silverstone and they were doing those rounds. And I remember seeing the gap between the air, like between the ground and Aston Martin's front wing. And I'm like, yeah, these guys are not going to suffer from porpoising because their front wing is higher than their rear wing, which is kind of odd to see. But I don't think so that innovation played out very well in their hands.
I think the
Kyle, what
main
do you think?
issue is you have the front wing so high off the ground, you get clean airflow going to the underflow, and obviously with the new flow regulations that you have this year, you're pumping in a lot of air, and in their case, a lot more air than you have from a team like Red Bull, a team like Ferrari. Having all of that air go through the floor and have obviously not having the same amount of downforce coming off the front wing because you have it so much higher off the ground. You're going to have the rear having double the porpoising of what you would have if you lower the front nose cone. So let's see what they do. Apparently, they have a lot of changes coming for Barcelona. It's supposed to be 50% a new car and all of this. So I love Aston Martin. I love the color. I love the drivers. So, well, one of the drivers. I'm
yeah.
not going to say I'm a fan. I'm not going to say I hate him, but Stroll is polarizing figure at best of times. But let's see what they can do. Let's see.
I mean, if you compare, we have three pay drivers at the moment. We have
Hmm.
Ganuzo, then we have Lance Stroll, and then we have the Gotifi. So Latifi, as he's famously called. I know from where this term has come. People are calling him Gotifi. I don't know why they call him Gotifi, but but it's his third season, and he was off pace, and the way I all credits to Alex Albon. He's a great driver. He's a much gifted driver, but come on, this is your third season with the team, and you have to buckle up. Like in case of Lance Stroll, I can clearly say he is a decent driver. Okay, all right. He
Hmm.
he, he's had his bad experiences. He's done a lot of mistakes, but Lawrence Stroll will be happy putting money on his son. But I don't know what is wrong with Latifi this season. And if you even if you see the car reveal, they were talking to Latifi, and Albin was just standing there. And the Williams car reveal, if you just go back and see on YouTube, it's just so bad. It's like Albin is someone who's just there, who's just there standing. And Latifi is like Latifi is paid for the car, and they're asking, "Oh, so Latifi, what do you feel about the car?" And the way he's been driving, I think at one point Albin was 10th and this guy was 18th. You're 8 places
Yeah.
behind your teammate, and this guy is someone who's just come into the team. The car is new, the setup is new for you, and he's
And you were
driving
one
it
year out of
so well.
racing, and you
Hmm.
didn't
Yeah,
race for a year.
so it,
Yeah, he
it
was in
speaks
GT3 cars.
volumes. Yeah, like this Latifi. To start with, last season Latifi was closing in on George Russell a little in qualifiers. I thought he's had his game up, and at least he'll be very close to Albon. At least if Albon is on 10, this guy is somewhere 11, 12. But it's a huge difference. I think Williams. I have an inkling that this is probably his last season. What do you think, Kyle? Between
You have to look at it this
dynamics.
way as well. George was probably on the verge of checking out, just leaving the room and moving on to where he is now. Obviously, in a not in the perfect situation, but in the situation that he wanted to be in for about 4 years, give or take. Um, Albon is now fighting for again his F1 seat, again his racing future, all of the usual stuff that he's had for 4 years. So if you look at it like that, you've had one driver who was on the verge of checking out. You have now another driver who's fighting for basically what is his life. And Latifi is just there or thereabouts. I'm not gonna say he's terrible. He's definitely not terrible. We've probably seen worse over the last 70 plus years. So he's not terrible, but he's clearly lacking something this season. He was not that bad last year. Of course, he had a few highlights, Hungary being one of them, but he needs to step up something this year. Whether that's maybe a lack of understanding of the new car. You also have to look at it as George was working with one of the top teams in F1 for that's now, and Albon was with Red Bull for so many years, and he's still got the logo on his helmet. So probably why the lack of attention from Williams, but obviously Williams now have to put their bags behind someone, and I think he's clearly proven, at least over the last two races for me, that he needs to have all the bags behind him.
Yeah, he has to
I
be
just
their
sorry.
guy. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Arsh.
I was just saying. I mean, I agree with Kyle because if you look at Latifi's F2 season, right? He was like Alex and Latifi were pretty good in F2 together at Dams. They had some pretty good podiums they shared. I mean, Latifi, if I'm not wrong, finished in the top three in his
Yeah.
F2 here. So he is a talented driver. I mean, you don't get into F1 if you don't just have talent. I mean, if you just have money, sorry, you gotta have some sort of talent as well. And Latifi
Mhm.
proved that in his junior career. He proved that even in F3. He proved that in the Formula Regionals. So I think it's just getting used to the new dynamic also in the team. I guess he's taking a lot more pressure than he should have. If you look at George was very clearly the lead driver with Latifi as his teammate, and that kind of eased out the pressure because George was more in the spotlight than Latifi. But now with Alex coming
Mhm.
in, a completely new lineup, I think Latifi was pushing way too hard to come into the spotlight alongside Alex, whereas Alex is just very quietly just doing his thing and getting off the mark well.
Yeah.
But I just feel like
Mhm.
Latifi is just trying way too hard to get that lead driver spot or try to at least be in par with his teammate.
And they've raced together in F2. They were racing together for Dams, and
Yeah,
we have Vineet in the chat telling us, yeah, he finished second in F2 in 2019.
there you go.
So
Mhm.
he's got good credentials, of course. Then so Vineet has been joining us. Vineet, he regularly joins us for the live, and welcome back, Vineet. And guys who've been watching the stream, please hit the like button, smash it. We require more, and
Mhm.
subscribe if you're there. So yeah, so coming back to that, because see, if let's talk about Alfa Romeo, right? You have an experienced driver like Valtteri, who knows how to get that potential out of that car. And yesterday, I think he let Stroll and Gasly fight while he just took the 10th position, or
Mhm.
P8. He ended up P8 when he started
eight,
P15. That
eight,
was a
P8.
fantastic drive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he knows he knows his game, but kudos to Guan Yu. I think he's not far back behind, and he's
He's
doing a
P11.
good. This being his rookie, yeah, this being his rookie season, it's not that that you have Bottas who's P8 and this guy is ending up somewhere 15, 16. What normally people would have expected from Guan Yu, because even in his F2 days, he's someone who was not really that aggressive also, but who was a safe bet even when he used to drive
Mhm.
for Unio Virtuoso. So your take on the whole team dynamics with Alfa Romeo, Kyle?
Bottas doing an excellent job this season. Obviously, we all know what he did in Bahrain was incredible, almost out qualifying both Mercedes, which would have been an excellent story to begin the season with. Just about missing it. I think it was a tenth and a half he missed Lewis by, not much. And I think he's had a little bit of a rut now in the last two races, a little bit here and there, not here, not there. But the first race was excellent. His race drive this weekend was also not perfect, but it was fairly decent. He was gifted, I think, three positions in total, one by Gasly as well, locking up in the second to last corner, going wide. Um, so he did a good job. Obviously, not perfect. He has some work to do still. I think he's not used to fighting in the midfield so much, being in a Mercedes for four very, if not disappointing, but lacking seasons where he could have been so much more. Obviously, sitting under the spotlight of someone like Lewis Hamilton is a difficult place to be, but I think he's doing a really good job this season, and he's probably doing a good job teaching Zhou what he needs to know. Zhou obviously did a good job the first race, same as Bottas. Maybe it was also the car suiting the circuit, if you look at it that way, considering he's a rookie. But Zhou, I think he's lacking a bit of experience, and it was fairly obvious in the last race. So I think he needs to get a little bit more confident in the car, a little bit more confident in the sport more than the car. And once that happens, he will for sure come in because he seems like, especially towards the beginning of every season that he's done in F2, he tends to do really well the first 6, 7 races and then kind of have a drop off when everybody else starts to pick up the pace. So I think if he keeps that trend, then he will have a really good first half. And then second half, rather than dropping off because he had time to learn the sport, time to be part of the car, part of the team, gives him more time to improve, gives him more time to catch up to everybody else. So I think he will be good by the end of this year if Alfa Romeo keeps the form, which is,
Yeah,
as with them,
like
a very big if.
I mean, absolutely. Like, I totally agree. Like, one thing that, like, I think what Guan Yuzo being his rookie season, he can pick something from Bottas is that one of the few drivers I've seen. I don't know if it's with the people who are finished, but I mean, even with Raikkonen, they're all level-headed, and
Hmm.
now he's no more under the shadow of Hamilton. He has a free hand, and he's giving it his everything in this season with that car with Alfa Romeo. And Alfa Romeo, Alfa Romeo was one of the teams that decided to not focus on their 2021 car, instead
Yeah.
focus on the 2022 car with the new regulations. And with the Ferrari package, as you guys can see with Haas and Alfa Romeo, they are having good race pace, and this guy is properly utilizing it. And going forward, I think it will improve. It will improve.
Hmm.
Like I think there's a reason why Haas gotten Magnussen, and Alfa Romeo has someone like Bottas. Is that the amount of data and the post race brief, the data that these guys will come up with, this performance is only going to go up. So
Hmm.
I think there's a lot. I think it's a blessing that Guanyuzo has started his season with the driver like Bottas, and who, because he comes from both the ends. He raced with Williams, and at times he overtook Massa,
Hmm.
and he overshadowed Massa totally. Then he came into Mercedes. He played that second fiddle very well, and
Hmm.
he had that temperament. He has that temperament, where he could understand the team dynamics also. So there's a lot that he gets. There's a lot that he gets. This guy's power pack is a lot that he gets to Alfa Romeo in terms of how to manage the team dynamics, how to and the kind of experience he has in terms of qualies. And with these new regulations, I feel this team they're going to have a better car going ahead. What do you think, Arsh?
I think I agree with you, especially we could see that in the first three races itself. Yeah, I agree that Bahrain kind of suited, like the track suited Alfa Romeo more compared to Australia. Australia has a lot more fast corners. It has a lot more straight line speed. I mean, it had 3 DRS zones. It had four until like the night before. So I think straight line speed is not as much in Alfa Romeo as much as it is in like a Ferrari or in a Red Bull. Like we'll
Hmm.
get to Red Bull's reliability later, but comparatively, I think Bahrain suited them a lot more. And I think coming up with the next few races, we've got Imola next, which is it's a very difficult track to just drive on. Um, It's got many elevation changes. It's got many slow speed corners. Is much in comparison to Australia. So I think if they continue to develop the car like they did, we're going to see some pretty exciting battles for the midfield, especially in like the P4, P5, P6 in the constructors. I think Haas, Alfa Romeo, and AlphaTauri will be looking to battle it. Sorry, Alfa Romeo, Haas, and Alpine will be looking to battle it out
Alpine.
in the midfield,
Hmm.
because Alpine showed some great promise. I mean, Alonso was just 2 tenths up in, I think, the second sector in during quali on Leclerc, and he was just about a hundredth or 200ths down in the first sector. Unfortunately, in the third sector of his final lap, hydraulics issue came in, and he had to start P10. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure with Alpine's pace, he would have been somewhere in the top five.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Imola being having slow speed corners, so this suits a team like Alfa Romeo.
It
So
suits, yeah.
they'll be going, yeah. So it's better suited for their car, and we have Dhaval joining us. So
Hey, Dhaval.
Dhaval, hey man, hi. So Dhaval is asking us, do you think Hamilton will get a podium in next three races? And we have Vineet telling us Imola, Miami, and Barcelona. That is predictions. What do you think, Kyle? We have someone.
I
We
think
have Dhaval.
Barcelona has always been good to Mercedes and Hamilton, so that's a good chance for a podium. But let's put it this way: Verstappen finishes the race, Sainz qualifies well and finishes the race. Nobody else is finishing on the podium besides the Red Bull or Ferrari. It's a fairly clean slated year for them as it currently stands. I think Red Bull is making it difficult for themselves. Carlos is God knows where at the minute. I think he's on holiday because what he's been doing this year is not really what I would expect from him because I love Carlos, especially in his
Yeah, me
McLaren
too.
days. What he's done was unbelievable. So what he's doing now is a bit lackluster at best. So let's see where he comes. But Lewis getting a podium, even George getting a podium, anyone getting a podium besides Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, or Verstappen is going to be a difficult task.
What do you think about like the Imola sprint race? I mean, that's coming up. So, like, your take on the sprint?
Leclerc fast and aggressive, Verstappen fast and aggressive. You have Carlos and Perez who are experienced. I wouldn't say Carlos is a veteran, but he has a lot of experience. Perez is very much a veteran, and he's also quick, as he proved the last two races,
Mhm.
qualifying just behind Max and on pole in the previous race. So how is anybody gonna make an indent into that? You're probably gonna get the two Verstappen and Leclerc flying at the front, and then them two holding third and fourth like it's no man's business. So I think behind that, obviously Alonso in the sprint races was incredible last year, as always. Lewis is going to be smart and aggressive because he is the 7 times world champion on the grid right now. So he knows what to do. George Russell, we all know what he's capable of if he can get his race starts right. You saw Lewis as well, as I just mentioned in the Australian Grand Prix. His start was unbelievable. You're going to have
Brilliant,
Lando,
brilliant.
depending on how good that car is in Imola. Highly doubt that the McLaren performs well in Imola because it seems to suit
Yep.
faster corners rather than slower corners. Direction changes are not really the thing of that car. The Ferrari and the Red Bull will do well. Mercedes is a bit iffy. Don't know where their performance is these days. Can be fourth and fifth, could be fifth and 18th. So it's a bit difficult to tell, but I think you should be looking for Verstappen, Leclerc, Alonso, and Hamilton next weekend.
Yeah, because I think we're talking about sprints is that if Alonso gets that racing line well, and we saw
Yeah.
that last year, so this guy is someone who will just take off, because I think this format suits someone like Alonso.
Hmm.
So if he gets off well, he gets off well. So like I completely agree with you, and I think it's Verstappen and Leclerc all the way, and people following them behind, and unless or until Red Bull solves their reliability issues, which is like
Hmm.
the biggest elephant in the room right now. So
Yeah.
so guys watching the stream again, please like the stream, like hit the like button. I'll be bugging you guys in between. Please like
Please put in your
please.
questions in the chat if you'll have any.
Yeah, yeah. So we heard Vinny and guys watching the stream. So tell us your predictions for the coming races. So talking about like talking about Alpine. So there are
I think
lot.
let's
So
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I was just saying if you wanted to move on, I was going to talk about McLaren because Kyle brought up McLaren. So I mean, I'm
yeah,
also
yeah,
repping an orange T-shirt because I'm a McLaren fan.
yeah, yeah. Go for
So
it. Go for it. Go for it.
I just thought we'll bring up McLaren right now. I think McLaren had a pretty good race. I mean, not only a good race, they had a good weekend all round. They qualified P6, P7. They ended up P5, P6. I mean, yes, they were gifted a position. Not going to deny that.
Hmm.
But yeah, they showed some they showed some pretty promising pace. And think they started to get back. But yeah, like Kyle said, it suits fast corners. But again, you've got Miami coming up, which we haven't raced on yet, but it promises to be a fast
Hmm.
track. We've got Brazil coming up, that again promises to be an extremely fast track that we've seen in the past. I mean, we saw Hamilton go from P20 to P1 last year, and
Hmm.
Imola might be an iffy race for them. I don't see them qualifying anywhere higher than P10 or P8. But Kyle, I'd like to get your opinions on the upgrades that McLaren got, and how do you see them for the rest of the season?
I like what they did this weekend. I like Ricardo's improvement considering he's missed a lot of drive time this year, along with Vettel, missing most of Bahrain testing. Sorry, all of Bahrain testing, having limited laps on the Friday and Saturday of the free practice for Bahrain. So yeah, I wouldn't place them very well this weekend as well because if you think about it, they had in the race they were gifted. In reality, you have to look at it three positions. Alonso qualifies well; he stays ahead of them because I think his pace in the middle of the race, if you don't look at degradation, was pretty decent. And Lando Norris post race as well, he mentioned that asking his engineer where Alonso was because he expected him to come through. So if you look at it like that, then there's also Sainz. Sainz didn't get a lap that was worth looking at in Q3. Spun the car on his own. That's the best way to put it. And Verstappen with the engine issues as usual. So how do you place them? You put three cars ahead of them. They're on the verge of not being in the points. In qualifying, they're qualifying ninth and 10th. So it's a bit iffy. Let's put it that way. They have done a good job with what they are given. Same thing with Mercedes. They're doing an excellent job with what they have. The drivers are doing an excellent job with what they have. They're working together on both sides of the case. Whether they can fix their issues quick enough to make this a season worth fighting for, or they move on because, as we all know, we have the aerodynamic regulations this year for CFD and wind tunnel time. So whether they want to sacrifice this season, move on to the next, we'll see. We'll see where they go with that. But at the minute, I don't think they're going to do very well in Imola. I love Lando. I've driven with him here in Dubai in karts. I think he's amazing as a driver and as a human being. But and Ricardo as well. Everyone knows he's the clown of the track, along with Lando nowadays. But whether they do well or not in Imola is to be seen. But I don't have my hopes bet on them.
I think we have a fan of Kyle. We have Madison Blevins. Oh, it's like you're doing an amazing job so far, Kyle. And we have a question from in the chat. It says the new upgrades that Red Bull and Merc will bring to their cars uh, in the coming races, will it make it a lot more interesting? Like anything that Ferrari has to lose with the upgrades. I think not much of a difference with Merc, but do you think, Kyle, anything that Red Bull has still in the bag that they can pull off?
I think Red Bull needs to figure out their balance. Verstappen's been complaining about it for the last two races, whether the car has a bit too much front, a bit too much back. It changes balance depending on which direction the weight goes. Transfer isn't right. So let's see where Red Bull goes with that. Perez is obviously a lot more experienced, so I think he's coping with the problems a bit better than Verstappen is. Obviously, he likes the car, finishing second, polling in Saudi Arabia, so I think he's not doing a terrible job. He's doing a really good job this year.
Yeah.
He's doing exactly what they're paying him for this year. I think last year he was showing glimpses of it. This year he's been really good. Mercedes, I don't know. If they fix the porpoising, I guarantee you that they are with at least Red Bull, if not Ferrari. It's that the car doesn't look terrible. It looks like it has problems. And if you put it that way, then problems are easy to fix. If a car is terrible, then they're not gonna fix that no matter how hard you try. But problems can be fixed. So let's see how they pull it out of the bag. I think they will fix it by Barcelona, maybe sixth, seventh race of the year. But they have time till then. Let's see how many laps they can rack up, how many podiums, if they can stay close in the fight. I think they're in the same boat as McLaren. McLaren obviously a bit worse off. A bit is a little bit of an understatement, but we'll stay with that. Let's see where they go with this. I'm not sure yet.
Because so far McLaren is the only team with the Mercedes package that has done well.
Yeah.
They're slowly digging themselves out of the grave, and with the first race that we saw, there were questions that will this be another black marker team, and
Hmm.
that's gone down from midfield, but they have really managed to come back, and
Hmm.
so I think we've lost Arch due to some
Yeah.
network issues. But I think it's the same as I think it's the same with Merck also. They have to solve the proposing issues, and but how soon do you think this will take this because you had a because if you see, even science had a lot of proposing going into Q2 in the qualifiers, and even
Hmm.
Ferrari has that, but they have somehow managed it. They have somehow managed to kind of package the car well. So but what specific issue does Mercedes have, do you think, and it'll take time? How much
I
time do you
don't know
think
if
it'll
it's a
take?
suspension issue. Maybe it's the way they've designed the floor. The side pods being smaller means you have a lot more over body downforce coming from the top of the floor. So I couldn't tell you, to be honest. I don't really study aerodynamics, so I just know from what I read, what I watch. Uh, I don't know where they go with this. Obviously they would definitely know where they're going with this billion-dollar racing franchise at this point. So
Yeah,
I think they have a plan. They've said they had a plan. Hamilton knows that and trusts his team to have and put in place the working methods to get out of this situation. It's not a terrible situation that they're in, like what McLaren is in. I think McLaren has a fundamentally sound car. The problem with their car is I think they set their expectations too low. It doesn't bounce, it doesn't slide about, it's not snappy. It just looks a bit slow overall. So I think they just need to pile on downforce onto the car. That could cause issues in the coming months, weeks, races, however you'd like to look at it, depending on how bad their porpoising gets from whether they pile on downforce. Mercedes, on the other hand, has the car with downforce already. It's just getting that to work in conjunction with the porpoising, like Ferrari does. And obviously, Ferrari's turned it up engine-wise. They still have apparently some 25 horsepower left to extract, which they're just on hold for, seeing how good the engine runs. So I think they showed a little bit of that this weekend, considering Charles was, I think it was 22 seconds ahead of Perez at the checkered flag with the
yeah,
fastest
yeah,
lap on
yeah.
the last lap. And who is beating that?
That's
It,
amazing.
it,
I mean, what Ferrari has done with their car, with the side pods, the new fin
mhm,
design that I think they have given it everything this season. I think they have taken all the risks, and it's paid off. And
yeah.
because if you gradually see certain teams which have been, I wouldn't say like this 2022 is a different regulation altogether, but the
Mhm,
car that they had in 2021, that was
mhm,
also a level up, because they literally had a car, and that speaks a lot about a team. The team,
mhm.
they had that hunger in 2021 also, and after the summer break, the way they performed, and no one expected them to be third in the
Yeah,
championship.
the
But they
car
were.
they had last year, if you look at the tracks that they performed well on, was tight, twisty circuits. Whether it be Baku or Monaco, that you want to look as the prime examples, two pole-sitting laps, one podium, and one could have been again. Well, you think he finished fourth, Leclerc, and Sainz was second in Monaco. Leclerc obviously not starting because of a gearbox issue, if I'm not mistaken. Gearbox or driveline, I'm not
There
familiar
was a
with what the
gearbox
issue was.
issue. He crashed, and the gearbox was
Yeah.
not being able to restart
Okay. So
because they couldn't
if you
risk
look at it that
starting
way,
P20 on the grid.
yeah, obviously in a track like that it would be impossible. But I think
Exactly.
if you look at it that way, the car they had last year was incredible in low speed corners. The more downforce they piled on, the better the car worked. Obviously, they still lacked engine performance. You saw that in Monza. They only got up the field with strategy, with racecraft from Leclerc and Sainz. So I think they have the potential to do well this year. It depends on again how much downforce they have this weekend in Imola. Let's see how they do. I would love them to win a race in Italy. I think it would be amazing for the tifosi. And I'm a Ferrari fan, even if I'm not the
Yeah,
biggest
man, that's
Leclerc
great.
fan. I'm a Ferrari fan. Everybody is always a Ferrari fan, no matter what they
Yeah,
say, because the red is just the most beautiful color in the world.
yeah,
So let's see
absolutely,
how they
I
do this
think
absolutely.
weekend.
when you say F1, you think Ferrari, and when you think Ferrari, you think
Yeah,
F1.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's that close. Because even with what they did in 2018, and we still don't know
Mm-hmm.
what happened. So they
Mm-hmm.
have so much equity in this game that you just can't let them go, because
Mm-hmm.
that's a big identity crisis that people have with Ferrari if you remove Ferrari out of the equation. And I'm seeing memes. People are like, forget the drivers' championship. We just want Leclerc to finish the race in Monaco this year. That's like the
Yeah.
biggest. That's like the biggest thing that people want. Like forget the drivers' championship. We are okay if he doesn't get that. We just want him to win at Monaco, because
Mm-hmm.
that's really heartbreaking, man. I don't know what's with Leclerc and Monaco. So I think we
I
have
think
someone in the yeah.
it's been 4 seasons, and he hasn't since his
Yeah.
Sauber days. I think he hasn't been able to finish his home race, which I think is
It
pretty
was
sad.
brake
Yeah,
failure in Sauber, puncture and floor damage in
But yeah,
Ferrari, and then obviously last year the crash and gearbox issues.
I think last year we had this theory that they should tie limbu and mirchi to the they should tie a lemon and chili to the car just to increase the downforce. I know, and it sounds stupid. See, we are from so Kyle, we are from Couch Pundits. We know nothing about Formula One. We're just fans, so you can expect such jokes from us. So
I
please
think
bear
the
No,
only
with
thing
don't
us.
that's
worry.
left
It's
is
normal in the paddock.
I think the only thing that's left is to put a har, put a tika, and then break a nariyal before every race,
Yeah,
and then we're
man.
like, okay.
So we have someone in the chat, Samarth, asking Kyle your racing plans for 2022.
I wish I knew. Let's put it that way. Hopefully, more time in a Formula 4 car. Let's see. But I think by the end of next month, I will have some answers. But I don't have any right now. We just got over with the karting season here. We have tickets to all of the World Championship events that I have attended. So whether that be for Rotax or AMI with this team that I'm currently racing for, Dojo
Yeah, man,
Moto.
that's great.
So we've done a good job this year in karting. Had the first race in F4 already. So let's see where we can go from here. I think we have a lot of space to grow. We've done an excellent job, whether it be in India in karting, in F4 over here, or in karting here as well, in the World Championships as well, being vice world champion. It sounds nice, but there's still one more step to go in that. So let's see where we can go this year.
I had one peculiar question. I think was this your first single seater experience
Yes.
when you drove for Mumbai Falcons?
Yes.
So how was your neck the next day?
To
Because
be honest with you, I have a pretty strong neck. Surprisingly, I didn't have any physical issues. I was very surprised with that. It seemed a lot less physical than I thought it would be, but I think I was also a bit more well prepared than most karting drivers. I'm not a scrawny kid as most people expect in karting. I'm not well built. I'm decently built for karting. Overly built, I think, is the right word for karting. So it didn't feel that bad. I think the only thing I struggled with was my left foot.
okay,
The braking,
because,
Yeah,
the
very
braking
much
I've
so.
heard is pretty hard. Even in like when you go from even I mean you go from Formula 4 to Formula 1, all of the
Hmm.
braking zones are pretty hard because I mean when you just slam the brakes, your left leg, it takes pressure on your knee, and then at the
Hmm.
same time you're taking a few G forces into your neck and you're cornering at such high speeds, it's
Hmm.
going to affect your legs. I don't blame you for that. But I think it's still pretty cool that you were not able to feel
Yeah,
any neck physical
I was
pain.
very surprised by that.
we had Magnussen complaining about
Literally.
next. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
we had we had Kevin complaining about that. That's where the question stemmed from, because a lot of drivers I meet, they're like, when you get into a single seater for the first time, it's really tough. But how was the whole experience going forward? I mean, so you drove you drove the race, or you were in the practice?
No, we did the race weekend. Unfortunately, we didn't get any testing time, so it was just whatever testing we had with the race weekend. So free practice. I think it was a total of 3 hours, 1.5 hour stints on 2 different days that we had as testing. So racing against the kids that had about 1,000, 2,000 laps under their belts already was a bit difficult. I enjoyed it a lot. To be fair, I think in my opinion, I think I could have done a lot better than I did. But I always tend to set a high standard for myself because no matter what, I somehow end up disappointing myself. So if that makes everyone else think that I did good, then that's more than happy for that. But I think I could have done a lot better. I think the team did a great job with all of their drivers that weekend. Mumbai Falcons also did an excellent job in the Formula Regional Asian Championship that was happening
Yeah.
at the same time,
This is the
dominating that
second
as
season
well.
and they won it.
Yep.
Yes,
Uh,
Arthur Leclerc and Jahan Daruvala the previous year.
yeah.
No, no, no. The
And there
previous
was
year
Kush
was
Maini.
Kushmani and
Kushmani.
Yes,
Jayan,
I,
and
I
this year
think,
it was Arthur Leclerc, Oliver
yes,
Bierman, and Sebastian Montoya.
yep,
and we had Dino, Dynamic
And
Dino.
Dino
yeah,
Beganovic,
Beganovic.
who kind of subbed in
Man,
for Sebastian.
he's a great driver. I mean, someone look forward to. So
How
we
was
had,
driving for? Sorry, I was just gonna ask him how
yeah.
was driving with Sohail. Sohail, I believe, was your teammate.
So yeah, he's a lovely guy, very funny guy, very funny guy. He's quick. He's really quick. Obviously, he's had quite a bit more experience than I have, but really funny guy. Good guy to work with. Easy to ask questions. So very nice guy. Very nice guy.
So not to spill any more of beans, but can we expect you to be racing in India at a street circuit in Hyderabad very soon, later
For
this year?
Hyderabad
I
Blackbirds.
won't say no. I won't say no.
Man, that's great. That's great. So happy to hear that. I'm like, I just, cryptically asked you that. But we all are looking forward to that event, and it is going
Hmm.
to be one of the biggest motor racing events in the country.
Yeah,
So it would be great
of
for
course.
drivers like you. It's a great opportunity. So coming back to uh, the Australian GP. Let's talk about Red Bull. Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Hmm.
I'll start with Arsh. Arsh,
Okay.
there were rumors that the engineers already knew there's something wrong with the car, and even before the race, they were working on the front wing of the car. So, what's your take on that?
I think there are rumors. I mean, there were rumors that Australia would bring in a new rear. Sorry, Mercedes would bring in a new rear wing to Australia. That didn't happen, right? So I think, yeah, I mean, a lot of these rumors come around that Red Bull knew about. Yeah, there were issues in the car. I mean, even. Uh, I think you just can't reveal them on radio itself. I mean, even when Checo asked his engineer that, "Hey, what's wrong with Max's car?" He very subtly said that doesn't concern us. Just continue your race. So I think about the rumors, I think we can just push that aside. But um, where you come to reliability and the front wing, I don't think as much like the front wing had as much issues as the powertrain did. I mean, you've like the powertrain has been having issues since the very first race itself. We saw Checo spin out towards the end of the race at turn 2 in Bahrain. We saw another DNF by Checo in Jeddah. So it's pretty difficult to understand where they're going wrong in the powertrains. It's very difficult to understand whether, I mean, they are a new unit. You've Red Bull are an energy drink manufacturer. They don't make engines, man, at the end of the day. So it's difficult to kind of adapt to having a completely new department in your factory. I think it's still going to take a few races to develop as development goes by.
Hmm.
But I think Red Bull having the expertise from Honda, having the expertise from the people itself, like Checo and Max, they'll overcome the reliabilities pretty soon. But it's not Red Bull to see three DNFs in three races.
Mm.
Yeah, over to you, Kyle.
Uh, I think I'm a fan of Perez, especially. I wanted Verstappen to win the championship last year, even though the way he did it in which was controversial, but I still enjoyed it. Um, how do you put Red Bull into words right now? I think what you said earlier, elephant in the room. I think they're the bull in the room. I think that's the only way to describe them right now. Quick and fragile.
Yeah,
That's the
because
easy summarization.
they have had engine reliability issues, and having an engine reliability issue doesn't go well,
Hmm.
especially, and this is of course an Honda engine that Honda had promised to develop and they and I think our post is Horner was talking about some parts that they were supposed to procure from Japan, and there was some delay. And even after the qualifying session, Max wasn't too happy with the car. So going into the race, I felt that they were a little underconfident, and the and Max was nowhere near Leclerc. Like in Jeddah he was, but this race he was nowhere near Leclerc. So I don't know going ahead how will they manage the whole, because there have been rumors that they have been poaching people from Mercedes, and
Mhm.
they have had some people from Honda joining them, and they're building a separate factory altogether for to develop engines. But that'll take
Mhm.
some while for the whole infrastructure to come up. And but you could see that concern that Perez had. I think it was the backlash that they had in Bahrain, that what happened to Max, because that exactly happened to Perez. So
Mhm.
I think going ahead, and Imola has always been their favorite track. So
Mhm.
I hope they pull it off. So any more questions that you had, Arsh?
I mean, we've covered most. Have we like spoken a little bit more about Alpine? I think Alpine going forward are
Alpine,
looking pretty promising with
Mhm.
Ocon
Alpine,
finishing
yeah,
P7 in the race, and like obviously Alonso, unfortunate he was in the points, he got tire degradation, he had to pit, and he got in the points again, and then safety car. He got pretty unlucky this weekend. I feel you could see that all the way from Collie that he was getting pretty unlucky, but I think Alpine have shown some pretty good promise. Just wanted to know what you guys think about the new Alpine, BWT Alpine, sorry, the new BWT Alpine going forward with
yeah,
a new engine, a new
the pink Force
uh,
India slash.
car.
So
Mhm.
I had seen that there was a meme. Okay, so like BWT, whoever is like BWT sponsors, the teams go down. So they're like, BWT is like when Satan enters Force India, they go down. Then they they
Well,
enter
they
Racing
did
Point,
well
they
with
go down. But
Racing Point.
yeah, but they worked really well with Racing Point, and going ahead, I think we got to see in second half of 2021 also the car was performing really well,
Mhm.
and there's a good combination. I did not expect the what we saw in Jeddah between Ocon and Alonso, but that was a treat. Whatever they must have fucked up the race strategy, but that was a treat
Yeah.
to the eyes, man. Like
Yeah.
seriously, they're racing each other madly. But I think if you look at Martin Budowski, who was their team principal last season, so I think when you talk about a team principle more than the strategy, there are people for strategy. Then I think it's people management that matters. And with Otmar coming in this season, I think we would see them fighting for the podium also, because the car certainly has pace, and
Mhm.
they're at par with Mercedes at times. So
Mhm.
we have someone like Alonso who's always pushing. So what do you think, Kyle, on on Alpine's chances going ahead this season?
Alpine's quick in general. I think it was 12 seconds was the time they lost, letting Ocon and Alonso fight in Jeddah, which completely destroyed both of their races. A very pointless exercise, in my opinion. Uh, I can't be one to say. Obviously, I'm not at that level yet, but even in karting, you don't see that level of fighting for a position that you know you can go forward in. So I think a good example for me myself would be in the World Championships when we raced in Bahrain. It was the top four, and we were at points 2.5 seconds ahead of everyone else, just the top four, and the top four was within 2 tenths. And that's how it was until the second to last lap, and then we started fighting. And that's we're not in the same team, but it's personal gain and a overall gain rather than all of you losing time. In this case, they're teammates. In this case, they're very good friends, as we've seen last year.
Yeah,
I don't exactly know what the logic was for letting them fight last race. To be honest with you, I think Otmar has a knack for letting Ocon fight whenever he's team principal.
just go off, right? I mean,
Yeah, so I like Ocon. I like Alonso a lot more than I like Ocon because I grew up being an Alonso fan. So I don't know what the logic is. I don't know what was going on in that garage on the strategy that Alonso had either. Uh, there's a lot of question marks around them. They're supposed to be doing really much better than they are right now. I think them and McLaren are a bit disappointing in the midfield wise. I think Aston Martin was everybody knew and testing already that they were not anywhere. I think McLaren and Alpine are the ones that are disappointing us right now in the races. They can be quick. This weekend was a great opportunity for them to be quick. Ocon didn't execute what he was doing perfectly. Alonso, we know where this weekend ended. It ended before he finished his quali lap, obviously. So let's see. I think he has potential. I think they will be quick in Imola. So let's see where they go from here.
And we have our moderator in the chat telling us that Leclerc was so fast he could have pitted, and he could have gone for a pee and come back. So
Yeah,
that fast. So but
I
yeah,
think
I
he
think
could have actually had a pit stop.
yeah. I mean,
I'm
I think
so sorry
the,
about this.
hey man, it's fine. And we're just talking about Leclerc. He could have spun and he could have again come on track, and he would have lost positions because he was that
Mhm.
far ahead. But I think Ferrari, is it too soon to say that the Leclerc era is here? And is it too soon?
With a
I'm not
45-point
I'm not keen
lead,
on
I
that.
mean,
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But you have to look at it also like this, with a season like this. This particular year being with all the car changes, someone finds something magical. Where's Leclerc gonna be after that? If Ferrari is the people with that magic already, then maybe nobody else catches them for the rest of the year. Maybe what he's doing right now is pulling what Jensen did in 2009, just balling out the first 10, 15 races and then, holding on for his dear life for the last 6, 7 races of this year. But this
With
is a
Braun, right?
particularly long season. Yeah, this is a particularly long season, particularly this year. You have a lot of different tracks, a lot of different drivers this year. Leclerc tends to be more aggressive than Jensen was in his racing days. He was much more calculated than
right.
what Leclerc tends to be. However, you've seen Leclerc race this year. Extremely smart. What he did in Bahrain and Jeddah, almost pulled it off in Jeddah. I think another 2 laps and he'd have got back ahead of Verstappen if Verstappen let him let him pass. Let's put it that way. But I think he's gonna. I think as much as I wouldn't like to say that it's already done, I feel like he's going to put it in cruise control at some point, and that's going to be with this form, and he's just going to keep excelling. I think Sainz needs to catch up, and no matter what Red Bull does at this point, constructors wise, they are so far behind, and not only constructors wise, Verstappen is I think fifth in the championship now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's only on
One of you can,
25
Yeah.
points because he had two
yeah,
DNFs,
yeah,
So
exactly.
I
So
think
whereas
looking at
Leclerc is on like 74.
yeah,
I think looking at the season, that's we have still so many days to go. But Red Bull again with the engine reliability issues, and what Max said after the race, that completing a race seems like a task now. So that's a very big statement coming from him. So if they don't have any reliability issues, and they solve the issues that they have with the car right now, we can see a good competition between Red Bull and Ferrari, and if not, Ferrari just takes off. So I think that's all from our end. Thank you guys who joined the stream today. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle, so much for
of course. Thank you guys for having
joining
me.
us, and we would love to have you in future also. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
of course.
Thank you so much, guys. And guys, please like the stream. If you guys like the stream, follow us on follow us on
Couch
Instagram,
Pundit
Couch
Sports,
Pandit.
Instagram.
Follow Kyle and Arsh on Instagram. We have their Instagram handles in our bio. Thank you so much, guys. We'll be back soon with the
Thank
Imola
you very
podcast.
much, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Have a good night, guys.
Ciao, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.